I would like to bring this joint meeting of Sonoma City Council and Design Review Historic Preservation Commission to order.
Are we all together? I don't see anybody.
We can see, our council members and also all commissions here.
Oh, I can't see anybody but
Oh, you
me
cannot
and you.
see? I do.
Press the gallery view. You should be able to see everybody.
Yeah.
I bet
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
at the top. And
Yeah. Hold on.
Top right-hand corner.
Yeah.
mine says more.
If you're on an iPad, it's on the left.
Okay.
Leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should be a view.
No. No, I can't see.
Yeah.
it.
I can see Gary.
You're on an
as well.
iPad.
It says switch
Touch
camera,
it.
switch to gallery view.
There you
Is
go.
that it?
That's what you want.
That's it.
Kelso? Ah,
Yes.
Yes, you can see.
That's it.
All right.
Yay! I
Okay.
passed.
That's great.
Okay.
All
I
right.
win.
I want to start this meeting by Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to invite Council Barnett to lead us for Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor Ding. I pledge allegiance to the
To
flag
the flag
of the
United
United States of America
Of America.
and to the republic for which it
which
stands,
it stands,
And
one nation,
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
Thank you so much. Could you please do the local for us?
certainly. Councilmember Agramonte,
Here,
Councilmember Felder,
Here,
Councilmember Lowe,
here,
Vice Mayor Barnett,
Here,
and Mayor Ding,
Here?
and Commissioner Amar,
Here.
Commissioner Randolph,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson. I don't see him here. And Commissioner Yeromi.
Here.
Thank you. Vice Chair Burt is absent, and Chair Cormany.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Sorry about that.
All right.
present.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Atkins. Item number 2, new public comment process for the virtual meeting. According to the City Council special meeting dated of January the 6th, we unanimously approve number 1, resolution 2022. We want to switch the all government, the meeting in person to the virtual, which is based on state and the county health, public health in the office, the order. So right now, we're on the purely under the Zoom meeting. And if anybody want to participate, you already go to our website that is with the agenda and the link, and they just clicked it into linked to the Zoom meeting. If you have the cell phone, you can do the same thing. If you don't have the cell phone and a computer, and also you can participate out of the meeting by regular the phone. The phone number, we have the listed and the server. I would like to give you the number 1, the phone number that is 669-900-9128. Please take this advantage of our high-tech knowledge and participate each out in the local government in the meeting. When you get it in, you should dial *9. That means you raise your hand and host will get your attention that you're gonna speak. Agenda number 3, review and acceptance of agenda. Consideration and adoption of any changes to agenda order and or addition to the agendas as allowed for under Brown Act. We didn't receive any requests for change. So that means we will not pass this agenda. Item number 4, late review of correspondence received following the posting of the agenda package.
Thank you, Mayor.
Wendy, did
Mayor
you receive
James.
any correspondence?
No, I did not.
All right, thank you.
Could you close that?
Agenda number 5, consent calendar. DRHPC. These items will be acted upon one motion unless removed from consent calendar for discussion by commissioners or any interested parties. So far, we don't have any consent items for today's meeting. So now, right now, I want to now open the public and in the comments, any items not appearing on this agenda. Right now, it's your turn. Please manage your speech 3 minutes or less for sure, and everyone get a chance to speak. Right now, it's your turn.
There's no public comment, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. If any in a phone call, any in the ringing or no? No? All right. Let's go to another agenda. Agenda number 6, items for discussion. 6.1, discuss and consider eliminating the design review role and responsibility of the DRHPC. First of all, I would like to ask our city manager, Mr. Gary Latoya, could you please give us a short report for its background and for your inputs? Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Mayor, Council, hi, members of the DRHPC. Actually, we haven't met, so this is my official meeting of your commission. Anyway, before I turn it over to David, I thought I'd just make some quick introductory comments. So one, the council originally at its September retreat talked about the roles and responsibilities of the various city commissions and committees. And then as a follow-up at the council's November meeting, it additionally talked about the various roles and responsibilities of all the various city commissions, committees, and boards. But the council indicated it wanted to have a joint meeting with all these committees before it took any action on any of these issues. So with regard to DRHPC, the council talked about the merits regarding taking away the design review responsibilities of the DRHPC, with the thought pattern being if design review is taken away, then the DRHPC would just become the HPC, Historic Preservation Commission, and then it would continue those responsibilities. So at this point, I think it'd be best if I turn it over to David Storr, and he could share with you kind of the merits why we think this could be a good thing.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Toy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I'll just do a quick share screen to introduce this item. If you can tell me if you can see what's on my screen, that'd be great.
Yep.
Are we good? All right. I'm going to try to figure out how to move through my my items here. So you may recall that a little while ago, about 3 years ago, we had a discussion about the role of the DRHPC and its duties with respect to projects that relate to items that travel to the Planning Commission. And there was a time there where items would go to the Planning Commission And then afterwards, after the entitlements are granted, would then go to the Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission for review. And oftentimes there were times when the role of the DRHPC got a little bit blurry with respect to what was within the purview, what was not within the purview. And we changed that around a little bit. But tonight, I want to just point out that the discussion tonight is in furtherance of discussions of the City Council, and I'll get to some of those points here in just a minute. Interestingly, in the current code, our City Council is to review on an annual basis the effectiveness of the Design Review and the Historic Preservation Commission, and I'm going to guess from 2013 that probably didn't happen a whole lot. But anyway, here we are. We're here tonight, and
What does that mean?
what I did is I went to section 2.6 of the code, and I've highlighted the responsibilities of the DRHPC. And you'll see that I've highlighted, for the most part, the core issues or core actions relating. So the first one here is talking about historic preservation as far as creating policies and programs and recommending those to the City Council. And then also there's a task to review and make recommendations to the State Office of Historic Preservation and related to the National Register and such things that also go on the state lists as well. You can also see there that we're part of the Certified Local Government program as well. Also, we talk about the nomination, design, and registry of local historic resources and districts, developing and administrating historic resource inventories and the like, and creating design guidelines. Also, you can see that we're to review projects relative to CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. Then you can see a review requirement for the DRHPC to deal with demolition and relocation of structures and buildings within the historic overlay zone and other historic buildings and structures that are outside of the historic overlay zone. What I've done here is struck out the three tasks that we're talking about tonight. And the reasons for that, one would be the architectural review, sign review, and landscaping review. And as I said at the outset, we were talking about the role of the Planning Commission and the DRHPC and flipping that and reversing that. Since we took that action, which has been working very well, the state passed SB 330 and the governor signed it. This is now known as the Housing Crisis Act of 2019. It did have a 5-year timeline on it. It has another 5 years now. But in making the changes that we're talking about tonight, would be deleting those three tasks that I outlined in red with a strikeout, but creating a focus now on those other tasks, which I would suspect since 2013, when the code was amended for whatever reason, that there was not a whole lot of annual reporting going on, and there was not a whole lot of emphasis on the tasks of the historic preservation component, centering mainly on the design review components, which certainly can go to the Planning Commission as they review a bundle of entitlements, whether it's design review with a use permit or some other variance or subdivision. And that's how those kind of items would be administered. What it does is it helps reduce the processing time and costs, and also reduce advertising timing and costs. It was streamlined, but more importantly, as it relates to SB 330, we can have a little bit more flexibility, not a whole lot. SB 330 does limit the number of hearings to 5 for residential projects. And clearly, if we get through our complement of Tree Committee, DRHPC, Planning Commission, and Council, not factoring in appeals, we could chew those 5 up pretty quick, which basically means there's an automatic entitlement to a particular project. Now, I have no idea how to undo the screen, other than to say that what we would be doing should the City Council move forward in making these changes that we're talking about, we would need to change a couple of places within the municipal code. One, in chapter 2.6 that I mentioned, and also title 19, the zoning or development code, where the review of the DRHPC would need to be modified. This concludes my staff report, and we have Christina and Wendy, your staffers to your commission, available for questions and answers. And I'll try to stop sharing screen now and see if that worked. Mr. Mayor, this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stoll. So if any comments from our city council members and the commissioners. Right now, we can discuss or raise the questions for both city manager, Mr. Toy, and planning director, Mr. Stoller.
I can comment.
Yes, yeah,
This is Michaelia.
hi.
Hi. I have actually a few questions, but the first thing I wanted to do was make sure I understand what problem was trying to be solved with this change. And I think my understanding is to better comply with SB 330. Am I correct there?
Yes, certainly I could, from a technical perspective, SB 330 is at the core of it. I think the council discussion centered around providing an adequate focus, not just on the historic district and the roles and streamlining. I believe there's a governance question that's being addressed by the council, but I also think cemeteries factored into it. So there was more of a thrust to keeping Sonoma at the forefront of historical matters, and certainly allow the council members to provide their input on this too.
Okay, so another question I had or I wondered about was during discussion, was there discussion of what kind of time this would add to planning commission agendas? And I'm mentioning that because when we are looking at a design project, it doesn't take 5 seconds to do it. So I'm curious if that discussion was held. I don't know if it was, maybe folks can comment there.
I can just try that one, Commissioner Randolph. The nuts and the bolts, the mechanics, things that could go to an administrative review versus having a direct transfer of all responsibilities. We haven't done that yet. I think the direction would come from the council after tonight's discussion as to the scope of the changes it wants to see. And we'd certainly be willing to receive that. When it comes to planning commission and their timeline, the goal is not to have them go. Last week we went for 4 hours, and I know your commission goes on for several hours too when there's a complex matter. So clearly we'll need to look at the breadth of the scope of the changes that need to be made. Certainly transferring some of the more sign permits and some of the other things, those can certainly go to staff. And then certainly we can figure out what roles the DRHPC retains versus transfers to the commission.
If I could, I could comment a little bit too, that a lot of the projects that we have design review applications for, they're already going through planning commission as well, because they're partnered with another entitlement, whether it's a subdivision map or use permit. So we're already in the current process is that design review makes the recommendation, but staff is still writing a staff report and going to planning commission for a lot of those.
Okay, and go ahead. Sorry, Kelso.
No, Commissioner Randolph, continue. I'm sorry.
I was just going to also comment that this is a fairly dramatic change in my view. I've been on this commission for some time. It's so it was a bit of a surprise, and I do wonder too about removing a whole group of voices from participation in city government. It's changing it in the way that you're talking about. I wonder if there had been discussion about that. It's much more centralized.
Actually, the meeting that is today, we just discuss everything, every kind of the possibilities. It's the reason and and also you have the good suggestions. Vice Mayor Barnett, please.
Thank you, Mayor Dang. I want to first emphasize that no decision has been made. I mean, I think the whole point we wanted to meet with all the different commissions, especially this commission, is we wanted to get your input and maybe see if there is a better way to still involve design and also emphasize history and see if there's a better way to do this. As some of you know, I used to be on Design Review Commission. I have a very soft spot in my heart for Design Review Commission. I missed the Design Review Commission, and one of the changes I think that was made to the commission a couple of years ago with the arrival of our planning director was something that used to frustrate me, when I used to be on the Design Review Commission, we would get projects from the Planning Commission. And it was very hard to modify or really provide that sort of high level design input at that point when the site map and basically all the entitlements through the use permit process had already been granted by the Planning Commission. And so I felt like the Design Review Commission at that point was sort of, didn't really have the opportunity to provide the whole scale of input that it should. And so we moved design review, I believe, before the Planning Commission. So the design review often sees that. And I think that's really worked very well. The reason why we're having this discussion tonight, I think, as this came from our retreat, was two things, as our planning director mentioned, SB 330. And so perhaps we could have more information about that, because I don't know if every project will have, run up against that 5 meeting cap, but that does concern me in the sense that entitlements are automatically granted after 5 meetings. And so, for example, if we have to get something right, design review sometimes takes a few meetings to look at that project. You remember, Michaelia, that house on Spain Street. We looked at that,
Yep.
I think, 5 times.
Many times.
And then the Planning Commission can do the same thing. And so we have to, A, deal with that, and B, something that's also important to me, and I think members of the Design Review Commission, as well as many people in Sonoma, is just our unique role in California's history is the last mission where the Bear Flag Revolt happened. Just the entire gamut of history that Sonoma has to offer for the people that live here and the people that visit here. And I was just looking back on my emails from 2016 and 2017 about how, as a design review commissioner, we were going to focus on a demolition by neglect ordinance that still hasn't happened. We were going to focus on that historic train district, which, if I bring that up one more time, I do not understand why that is not an official district yet. And it seems like
coming soon.
Well, I'll believe it when I see it. But it frustrates me because I feel like sometimes design review is focused on all these design review applications, which, that's part of the job. And I feel like our historic initiatives and our sort of, our historic districts and all the great things we can do as a certified local government, which we became when I was on the Design Review Commission, along with you, Michaelia, always sort of gets left behind because it's never a priority. And so if there is a way we can continue to have design and design review that doesn't hurt the SB 330, but also allows us to continue to sort of renew our focus in a sort of proactive way on our history, that's sort of what I was trying to look to do. I think the council was trying to look to do, and I think maybe that would provide a good sort of start to the discussion and sort of see what your ideas are.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I could just tie on to what Director Storr said a little bit. So the 5 meetings under SB 330 is part of it. But over the last couple of years, there's just been such a wealth of motion at the state level. And it's really forcing the city to take a look at all of our processes and to ask hard questions. What are we doing to facilitate housing? What does our process look like? And how are we helping housing projects along versus hindrance? And so, a typical project comes in now, we have 30 days to do our review. And once the project's deemed complete, sometimes that can take a couple months and rounds it back and forth. And then we notice it for design review, and that takes about 3 weeks. And then another month later, then it goes to the Planning Commission. So it's typically, a 5 to 6 month process on an easy project.
Thank you, Ms. Nick. Hi, Councilmember Lowe, please.
Thank you, Mayor Ding. Question through the mayor here to either planning commissioner or whomever might have the answer to this. Is there a process by which, if something looks like it's taking longer than 5 meetings, that an appeal can be no, I'm seeing Mr. Storr shake his head no. Because sometimes there are, appeals that are embedded in statute.
Yeah, I'll just spend a couple of minutes on SB 330, if I may, Mr. Mayor. And so the Housing Crisis Act, which we certainly respect and understand the nature of it, is to try to help housing projects go through a development throughout all of the cities and the counties in the state. And the purpose of it is such that when an application is filed, a preliminary application, for example, there's a structured set list of things that have to be submitted. Once they put that application forward to the public agency, a clock then starts of 180 days, at which point, if they get their final real hardcore application into us within 180 days, they've just vested everything back to that day when they submitted their preliminary application. And from that date on, we're obligated to only have 5 hearings, which includes appeals. So, for example, the DRHPC could have an action. It could be appealed to the council directly as we're presently constituted. And that could be 2 meetings there at DRHPC, a couple. And then the same thing applies to the Planning Commission as well. So we're trying to be economical, I think, on factoring in the certainty of appeals in Sonoma. And one other thing I wanted to mention too, and that is when you're dealing with SB 330, when you're involving CEQA, if there's an EIR, there has to be action on that project within 90 days of certification of the EIR. And I believe it's 45 days for a negative deck. So the automatic approval game is upon us for good reason. Here in California, we want to produce the housing, but the state has become more aggressive. And again, perhaps for the right reasons. And there was also Commissioner Burt had her hand raised. I wasn't sure, Councilmember Lowe, if that was your only question, but I'd be happy to.
I'd like to follow up if I might, but I defer to if there's someone who is before me, that's fine with me.
Yes. Councilmember Burt, please.
I just want,
Yeah, Commissioner Burt.
can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I served on 2 planning commissions in the peninsula, and the first one was in the city of San Bruno. And the way that they had it set up is they had the architectural review, which was a meeting with 2 planning commissioners, a staff member, and the applicant. And they went through the designs. It was really great because it streamlined a lot of things that could prevent, from not going through. And the whole purpose of it was to make it a positive experience for the applicant. So when it went to the commission, the remaining commission, there was so many, it just streamlined everything. And it just made it a lot simpler. And it also, the planning commissioners would alternate when they would serve on the architectural review. So as far as time, from the commissioners, it really saved a lot of time. There's not as many meetings that they were going to. And the fact that you can do more, you can do the meetings much quicker with less amount of people, as long as you have a staff member and 2 of the planning commissioners. The city of Millbrae, what they did, they had the commissioners did both design and the application. And what Michaela was talking about, it is true. Our meetings would go on for hours and hours and hours, and we were duplicating everything. So I think it's a great idea. I know that there's a lot of things coming from, being in this design review that I saw that I was wondering why we were doing it based on the experience that I had in the other 2 cities. So I think it's smart to have the commissioners do what they need to do. And I think if you were to do the architectural review with some of your commissioners, with a staff member, and then bring it to the planning commission, that might be another avenue. And I think that would really, I've learned so much from staff in going through that process because we were able to talk about the different guidelines and all of that. So it really made a great experience, a learning experience for commission and staff to work together. So the projects went through very, very extremely, and this was a large city. These were big projects that we were looking at. And as far as the historical aspect of it, I agree with Kelso. I think that our role should be based on that. And I feel I missed out on education, and I want to learn more about the historical aspect, especially when we're going through these new districts, and also educating the public and educating people who are going to do remodeling or purchase in these districts. So I think redefining it and not really redefining it, putting it back where it belongs. And so I think it's a good direction to go. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Burt. Councilmember Lowe, please.
Commissioner Burt, by the way, you're right on the same wavelength as me as far as where I was going with my follow-up question, which is if we were to create a subcommittee or something like that of the Planning Commission that would look at the items with the lens of the architectural review, and then it goes to the Planning Commission. My question is, does that count as one meeting? Because I would think that that's just one meeting, and sometimes you have a subcommittee that looks at it first and then makes a recommendation. And it's similar to the process that was just described. What I'm trying to do is find, as I want to do, a way to still involve the architectural review, but not have it sort of count against us in terms of this 5 meeting rule. So is there a way that we could construct something like that and have it count as one meeting, is my question.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, the whole point here, again, of SB 330, that would count, as much as I love it, that would count as one of those 5 meetings, and it would be a public body taking an action. And I think the thought process.
But we're not taking an action. You're making a recommendation.
No, there would be,
Director Store, isn't it hearings, not meetings, 5 hearings?
It's meetings, hearings, it's the whole thing. It doesn't matter. It's a meeting or a hearing, doesn't matter. And that's the interpretation that we've been given by HCD.
Wow.
Even if it's like a non-Brown Act, like ad hoc in your office, recommend to the planning, like as Councilwoman Lowe described, that's a meeting.
No, that's why we're trying to take as much of this stuff as we can to administrative process that would not be Brown Actable and would not count towards the 5.
But that would be a sort of a non-Brown Act meeting. If it was, let's say, 3 planning commissioners, that's not a quorum, and you make a recommendation to the full planning commission, would that be that meeting in your office? Would that be a meeting?
My feeling, my guess off the top of the head is it walks, talks, and looks like a duck. It's probably going to be a duck, at least from the state perspective.
Well, I think that it's worthy. I think it's worth investigating that, because I feel like it sounds like there might be a workaround. And I also really value the input from the community members on such important things as the building and planning of everything in Sonoma. And if there's a way that we can construct that, I think it's worth, not making a snap judgment on it and investigating it further.
Question 2, does SB 330 apply to every, to like a single family residence as well as multifamily homes?
It's any residential project. It's the non-residential that we're okay with. But residential projects, that's what SB 330 applies to.
So because a single family home seems like a different animal than multifamily project, that would have, they're just more complex. It's a pretty tough, this 5 meetings thing is a pretty harsh mistress. And it's when there are complex issues involved, it sort of cuts off the opportunity to discuss them in depth. And then I think, as you said, if we don't meet the 5 meetings, it's an automatic approval.
Right.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Agramonte.
Thank you. It's interesting, the discussion, because people who were around maybe a year and a half ago, I offered, this is the harbinger of things to come because of all the slow movement of all the cities in California. So this is what we've got. I wanted to go back with what Vice Mayor Barnett suggested, and I wanted to talk about that Historic Preservation Commission, a proposal of that HPC. So it's interesting. This is interesting because I think what Vice Mayor Barnett suggested, it takes a long time to work on preservation issues or historical issues. So this group, if proposed, if it goes through, will only meet quarterly. How does that affect everything, Mr. Storr?
Well, we'll need to sequence the time once a quarter. When you look at the list that I put up there, I think that's certainly doable.
Right.
As far as the staffing of those meetings. It may have to be every other month, but at a minimum, once a quarter would work. There's a lot of work that would go into the preparation of some of those documents. I think one of the things I heard from the city council was that we wanted to do a better job of recognizing local resources that are not necessarily on the state list or on the federal list. For case in point would be the Grove, if you recall, the Spark facility. That doesn't make any California or national list, but it may be unique to Sonoma, something that we think is of local importance. And the one I believe that was at 236 East Spain, Wendy, I think it was, right? That is not on a state or a national list, but certainly could be on ours. And so it's trying to fine tune those unique things that I think is the focus of the council, to direct more attention to that and allow the planning commission to do some of the design stuff that it's normally seeing anyway, that it also sees.
And so
Thank
with
you.
Thank you.
And so with those recommendations from the new commission, from Historic Preservation Commission, to whom would those recommendations go and what would happen to them?
Well, if you recall, I think one of the things was there should be an annual report. I'd like to start getting the annual report to the council and having the council do its review of the role and effectiveness of the DR and the HPC, assuming that's how it gets divided. But like I said at the outset, I don't think it's been happening. And also, Mr. Mayor, we probably need to, once the discussion has occurred, we need to open it up for public comment. I do believe we did receive some.
Yeah, I would like to ask more comments from the other group. How about
Commissioner
the
Corman would like to speak.
chairperson commenting? Yeah, today you didn't say something. Do you want to share some your
Yeah,
points?
I just want to reiterate my understanding of the situation. So as I see from participating in the meetings that we talked about this previously, the intent here is to expedite things because there's a housing crisis and they want to get things built and they don't want to be held up via these multiple meetings. But what my question is, with the description of what Commissioner Burt was talking about earlier with San Bruno, that would constitute as 2 meetings as we understand it now. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes, but certainly we can check into that as well and report back.
Okay, it just seems like it's a really interesting solution, but I understand how it could be perceived as an additional meeting. Just trying to figure out what will work. That's it.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for your input. And any more?
Vice Mayor Kelsey.
Barnett, please.
Yeah. I actually just had a question for really anybody here. Obviously, we're talking about housing and SB 330 applies to residential projects. How would we handle commercial design? Like I remember a few months ago, the Design Review Commission had a, the design of the Chevy dealership on West Napa Street, which,
Right.
by the way, what were you guys thinking? But I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
We can talk.
But that went straight to design review and they approved it and then it moved on. It never went to planning. So in those situations, would design review retain commercial design that would never go through planning, or?
I think that's the question, Mr. Vice Mayor, where those responsibilities will be added to the list of things that the Planning Commission will do. And then the question is, could that be done administratively? And I suggest that it shouldn't because of the uniqueness of our community here. But we need to maybe build a process where that can have some 2 eyes of architects, 2 eyes of planners or something like that, or engineers, provide direction to an administrative person that makes the decision that would be appealable, but it would not count towards one of the hearings. So creating some kind of administrative process is what we're looking at there.
That's great.
Yeah, but the commercial projects don't have a cap, right?
Correct. These are SB 330 is for residential only.
Right.
So I suppose in a way we could carve that out and leave it with the DR with the DRHPC, but then you start to get a little bit more complicated in your process.
All right, yeah, thank you, everyone. Today is not the day we make any decision. Just open to our commission, open to our council, and also open to the public later to discuss and made a comparison. And the government's efficiency and effectiveness also is very important because this is very in a smaller town. And this is a very new idea, innovative idea, so that we can follow this direction and see how we can improve the service to our community. Additionally, I think our city is always underestimated the value of the art and our history. That is I'm thinking, because our town, the city of the Sonoma, is a wonderful historic town. It's a birthplace of California Republic. Actually, this is a big deal. This is, I want to treat it as a huge asset. It's the invisible asset. We should develop its the potential. The people why they choose the Sonoma. I believe a lot of the people, including me, I like the history here. But during the past decades, I haven't seen any governmental organization really involved or give the direction in this kind of area. So that in the future, if we change its function, it's the job duty for current commission, I would encourage we spend more time and work with the nonprofit, work with the state levels, and also maybe we can concentrate how to bring the money to our city to improve our history and research, promote, and also at the same time, yeah, we can make a list of the so-called historic and the buildings. But right now, this kind of job looks like nobody can handle. Yeah, the local nonprofit organization, individuals definitely need guidance, need the direction. So now, right now, I think it's the time for, all right.
Mr. Mayor, if I can, Christina had done some research and has a definition of hearings. Christina, are you available to read that out, or would you like me to do it?
If you don't mind doing it.
Yeah, sure. So hearing, quote unquote, includes any public hearing, workshop, which is what we've been concerned about, a study session, or similar meeting conducted by the city or county with respect to the housing development project, whether by legislative body of the city or county, the planning agency established pursuant to the government code, or any other agency, department, board, commission, or any other designated hearing officer or body of the city or county, or any committee or subcommittee thereof. It then goes on to explain that a hearing does not include a hearing to review a legislative approval required for a proposed housing development project, including but not limited to a general plan amendment, specific plan, zoning amendment, those kind of things. So that pretty much is clear, I think. But we can certainly look and see, I'm not going to say it's a workaround, but because that's not the thing here, but we can certainly see if there's a process that doesn't count towards the 5. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
And Mayor Ding, I would also suggest that you open the item up to the public, because there is a member of the public that would like to speak.
Sure. Right now, let's open to the public. Please tell us your name, and then please manage your speech in 3 minutes or shorter.
Hi, Patricia. You should be able to unmute yourself and speak now.
Okay, thank you very much for this. I'd like first to comment on Commissioner Burt's having the planners review a project. I think it's very important if there's public access to everything, because in many cases, the public has had expertise as well as ideas on how to best preserve the historic character of many houses and other buildings. I'm in support of splitting off the Historic Preservation Commission from the design review. I think it'll make a more robust system in Sonoma. I think a lot of things, a lot of times there are issues that you need a greater concentration on the reasons that the Secretary of Interior standards need to be followed. And I wrote I'm sure you have my letters. So thank you. I'm in support of this.
Thank you, Ms. Cullinan.
Mayor Ding, there are no other public comments at this time.
All right. Yeah, let's come back to, our group, council members and the commissioners. Yeah, we can further discuss and then see what is in the next step. Or Mr. Toyer, do you have any ideas and suggestions at this time?
Mr. Mayor, I think, so some things that we heard, and I think staff had indicated, in my experience, some of the reason why you moved design review from a separate body over to the Planning Commission is because I think in our case, I think the number was out there, about 50% of design review applications also require some level of Planning Commission approval in some aspect. So in that case, that provides a little more efficiencies for staff not to have to go to one meeting and go to another. The other is it does save the applicants time and money. Those that have to go to the Planning Commission, not having to go to the design review aspect does save them costs for having their architect or engineer attend the meeting. I think from my perspective, it would be, I think you don't split it out where commercial and residential is separate. You either go one way or the other, because otherwise it gets really confusing. And I don't know if that would necessarily save any staff time. But I would recommend that perhaps this discussion, as Councilmember or Vice Mayor Barnett indicated, was before the council would take any action, it would talk to this case of DRHPC for its feedback. And I think it would make sense that perhaps at the next DRHPC meeting that we agendize this not as a joint meeting, but for the DRHPC to really noodle this, we'll have more information, and that you can provide a recommendation to the council on how you think the council should proceed. At that time, we can confirm with legal counsel regarding subcommittee meetings, or there's approach that it wouldn't count as a meeting. But as David indicated, it seems like that definition covered just about anything you can think of. That would be my recommendation. Unless there's specific additional feedback to council, that'd be great to hear that now. Otherwise, I would agendize this for the next DRHPC meeting, and then the DRHPC can decide, noodle this up and make a recommendation to council how they officially feel one way or the other.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, that would be the DRHPC meeting on February the 15th.
February 15th?
Yeah.
Okay, February 15th. All right. So the data is the regular PRHPC is the regular meeting, right? It's not in a joint meeting.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. We do have decent time to think about that. And definitely, we will not make a decision at this time until we feel comfortable and confident, whatever is good for. And Mr. Stoller.
Commissioner Corman, he has his electronic hand up.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's fine. I just wonder that if we do take it to the regular meeting for a formal decision, I don't see that there's really much choice for us to make at that point in the road, because we say, hey, we don't like this idea. We don't agree. We don't, I mean, what are their options? There isn't, what are we supposed to be deciding? I don't see that this or that and that kind of a decision-making process to really help me understand what would we be discussing in that meeting.
Just as a suggestion, perhaps, and I'm just thinking off the cuff here, there's certain things that the design review commission component would pass on. What would go to the commission, what wouldn't? For example, should signage go to the commission, or could that be done administratively? Other types, demolition permits, could that go to the commission, or does that go to staff? Maybe some of those things. If it's not only no, then how could it work? Irrespective of, it's not a great idea kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, just if I
That's
may
good.
add, I think it's important though for the council to hear officially what a position is, because DRHPC may decide, no, we'd like to keep the design review portion. The city council could decide that's fine or modify it accordingly. But it'd be good to have the official feedback from the DRHPC, I think, because you'll have another few weeks to think about it. And as David indicated, there can be some nuances there where it would be really helpful to get your feedback on.
One thing that we could do as staff too is to do some research into how other jurisdictions have addressed this and present that and maybe some options to the commission for discussion. And maybe we don't need to make a decision in February, but we could kind of present the information and come back in March.
That's good. Also, maybe we can collect some other cities' information. And Bert, mentioned about the Peninsula, the two cities. Maybe we look at the other cities in the Sonoma, in the Marin County, how they can handle this kind of thing. All right,
Question?
Mr. Toy, do we need to
I
have
think
any?
Ms.
Oh.
Mayor Michaela would like to speak.
Yes.
I just wanted to.
All right.
I just wanted to add one more thing. I love the idea of looking at what others have done. That's always helpful, not to just reinvent the wheel. And it would be very helpful if there's other thoughts the council has had about how the new commission would work. Again, to whom would recommendations be made, and what action would or could be taken after those recommendations are made. The train district is a case in point, and there's probably a few other things that could come up. But I think that would be something that either could be discussed jointly, or if council already has viewpoint, it would be good to know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rodolph.
Mayor Ding.
Hi, Vice Mayor Barnett, please.
Yes, just to follow up on what Commissioner Randolph said, specifically, how would a historic preservation commission handle a residential project that has a historic component? I mean, wouldn't that count as a meeting anyway? And so these are things we need to think about. That's, I think, why we're having this meeting, just to talk about it, because many of our residential projects deal with historic resource evaluations. And if that goes to just the HRC first, I mean, I guess that's a meeting. And so we haven't really accomplished what we're trying to accomplish. So.
A good point. Yeah, really good point. Ms. Randolph?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Anything else you want to share, especially haven't spoken yet? Councilmember Felder, do you have anything you want to share with us?
No, I think at this point, most of the ideas have been put forth, and I'm anxious to see what the DRHPC comes back with to us.
That's great. Yeah. How about Commissioner Amar? Do you have any points or good ideas share with?
I agree that this will be a good thing to bring up in a separate meeting amongst just the commissioners to talk about the efficiency with which we're doing things at our meetings. The signage review takes up a substantial part of our meetings, and I don't feel like we have a good amount of value to put into that. It's basically making sure they're compliant without a lot of historical or many times even design aspects to review on that. And also, it'll be interesting to figure out how to kind of separate the residential from the commercial because of the nature of our neighborhoods. So many of them are mixed residential with the commercial buildings right intertwined. So how to keep the consistent character of the neighborhoods going while separating perhaps some of these responsibilities and different aspects out to different groups will be something that I'll be interested to explore further. Thank you.
Great. That's great. Mr. Jerome, how about you? Do you have any comments or great idea share with everybody?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I was listening to was very interesting to me. First of all, I am in 100% favor of streamlining process to save time, energy, and cost. And on the other side of division between different type of building in design review, as an architect, I have a very difficult time even relating to that, because design quality is design quality no matter what the building type is. And if the commission's assignment is to somehow guard that quality, it really doesn't matter what type of building the commission deals with. And I agree that there are lots of overlap between the responsibilities of the design review commission and the planning commission that needs to be streamlined and somehow made it meaningful for the public as the customer of all of us. Therefore, my recommendation is that, as some of the members of this group suggested, we need to really pay more attention to how this transition is taking place to create the most efficient way of dealing with the design review, planning review, and implementation of all of the codes, rules, regulation related to them. And I favor that suggestion that the commission may need to put something together to describe their position in that transition.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, I just have one comment. It just came to
Yes.
me while this discussion was ensuing. One jurisdiction that I used to work in similarly has a second planning commission. They'll have a planning commission just for the historic district. And Mr. Felder might have a clue as to where I'm talking about since his daughter lives there, Councilmember Felder. What they did is they carved a very specific area out where all land use entitlements and design review would work. I'm not quite sure how that could work for Sonoma because I think the whole city is pretty much historic, but maybe there's a different way where we could do something with respect to commercial and not do it based on physical location. Anyway, just something to consider out there.
It's great. Wonderful. Did I missing anything or that right now? Yeah, we just only have the less than the 1 hour. Yeah, it's a little bit longer. At the beginning, we expected 30 minutes. But anyway, you know, it's open. You know, it's not to make the decision, and we have the 2 or 3 weeks we can thinking, and we keep it as is. We maybe with a change, do whatever we can, and make this organization better, more efficient, better serve to their community. So if there's nothing else, I want to go to next agenda, adjourn the meeting. So nothing, I will adjourn the meeting. Good night. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.